The wind here makes no sound because there is nothing alive to hear it. Just an endless hush moving through a valley so dry, so cold, so stripped of time that even the earth seems to hold its breath. This is the Antarctic Dry Valley, a place that feels less like a location on our planet and more like the memory of one. The first thing you notice is the absence. No trees, no moss, no snow, though the world around it is carved from ice, just stone, dust and light. An ancient palette untouched for millions of years. A landscape so empty it feels full, like it's guarding a secret older than life itself. Here, mountains rise like the ribs of a long-extinct titan, jutting sharply into a sky that never softens. Granite cliffs fractured by temperatures that swing from brutal cold to cold enough to shatter steel. Even the glaciers behave strangely here. They spill down valleys but stop abruptly, frozen in place, their tongues suspended above the dusty ground as if they simply lost the will to continue. Nothing moves, nothing rustles, nothing sings, and yet the silence feels alive, like a sentient cold, watching, listening, waiting. The air is so dry it pulls the moisture from your breath before it leaves your lungs. It mummifies anything it touches. Ancient seals that wandered too far inland lie perfectly preserved for centuries, their bodies unchanged except for a thin layer of the valley's ochre dust. Their presence makes no sense, and that is the language of this place, logic undone by nature's extremity. The ground crunches underfoot, not with snow, but with ancient gravel that has never seen rain. Sunlight hits these stones and rebounds in a sharp, metallic glare, as if the valley is made of powdered glass. The shadows stretch long and unbroken because nothing stands tall enough to interrupt them. And then at the valley floor, the paradox begins. A lake, frozen over but never fully thawed and never fully solid. A thick shell of ice hides water so cold it should not exist in liquid form. Beneath it, strange microbes, ancient survivors, cling to life in a chemical twilight, sealed away from everything the rest of the planet knows. Life here is not life as we define it. It is persistence distilled to its purest form, invisible, enduring, unimaginably patient. In the stillness, the wind picks up faint grains of dust from slopes that have never known a blade of grass. It carries them across the barren plain, sculpting ripples in the ground like waves frozen in mid-crest. The air temperature can drop to levels that would freeze exposed skin in seconds, yet this is technically one of the driest deserts on Earth, a place where ice survives without melting for millennia, not because it's preserved, but because it is trapped, locked away by cold so absolute it denies the very idea of change. Some rocks here have not moved in millions of years. They sit exactly where the last warm era placed them, untouched by rain, unseen by insects, never shifted by roots or burrowing creatures. Time passes, but the valley refuses to acknowledge it. It's as if the clock stopped ticking the moment you cross into its silence. Above, the sky glows with a clarity found almost nowhere else. Each cloud that drifts over the surrounding ice sheets dissolves before reaching the valley floor. Moisture simply cannot survive here. It evaporates into the cold before it has the chance to fall as snow. What remains is a clarity so sharp that distant ridgelines appear close enough to touch, and shadows carve deep black cuts across the valley like brushstrokes on a blank canvas. At night, the temperature plunges even further, but the air remains eerily still. The stars ignite overhead, brilliant, cold, merciless. Their light reflects off frost crystals that form and vanish in minutes, creating a faint glitter that drifts across the stone. No sound, no movement, no warmth, just the hum of a planet spinning, indifferent to the fragile bodies that might wander into this frozen cathedral. If you listen closely, you can hear the groan of distant ice sheets shifting miles away. low, ancient moans rolling through the empty air. They echo off the valley walls like the ghosts of glaciers long gone. Nothing answers, nothing ever does. But the valley holds stories. In the dry soil, scientists found meteorites so well preserved they still carry the fingerprints of the early solar system. On the lake floors, sediments record atmospheric histories that stretch back further than human memory. In the permafrost, microbes lie dormant, waiting, unchanged, perhaps for centuries at a time. This place doesn't just resist life, it archives it, protects it, suspends it. On certain slopes, strange streaks of red paint the rock. Iron oxides created by chemical reactions so slow they make geological time feel hurried. They drip down the valleys like ancient blood, staining the landscape with hints of otherworldly alchemy. And then there are the ice-covered lakes that defy intuition, blue as polished steel, frozen on top, liquid beneath, with patterns etched into the surface like veins on a marble sculpture. These lakes never see rain, never receive meltwater from streams, never welcome life in forms we recognize. Yet beneath their ice, ecosystems operate on rules written nowhere else on Earth. Walk further, and the terrain shifts again. A labyrinth of boulders, sand, and frozen gravel expands to the horizon. These stones have been sandblasted by millions of years of unstoppable wind. Some are carved into smooth spherical shapes, others stand like crude monoliths, leaning at angles that hint at ancient glacial retreats. Each boulder is a timestamp, a physical memory of when ice last touched this valley, ages before humanity existed. There are no footprints here except your own. No tracks of animals, no signs of shelter, no trace of struggle or survival. Only the emptiness itself, total, complete, and overwhelming. It confronts you with a kind of humility you cannot negotiate with. You are temporary, the valley is not. When the light shifts, the entire basin transforms. Warm tones creep across the mountains, igniting them in reds and golds. Dust particles rise and shimmer like embers. The ground, once cold and lifeless, begins to glow as if lit from beneath. It is a beauty that feels almost threatening, a reminder that even in its stillness this place commands reverence. And then, just as quickly, the glow fades, the cold returns, swallowing the warmth without hesitation. The sky pales, shadows lengthen into a quiet that stretches for miles. Night reclaims the landscape, and everything returns to its untouched equilibrium. Standing in the center of the dry valleys, you feel small in a way that is difficult to articulate. Nothing here cares about your presence. Nothing acknowledges your existence. And yet, the purity of that indifference feels strangely liberating. This is the earth without us, raw, unfiltered, uncompromising. The dry valleys do not welcome life. They do not encourage exploration. They do not reward persistence. But they reveal something rare, a glimpse into the planet's past, present, and possible future. A world where life must bend, adapt, and endure, or vanish. As you take your final steps across this barren expanse, the wind returns, whispering its silent language across the stones. It brushes over the frozen lakes, glides along the valley floor, and slips through broken ridgelines like a ghost remembering its path. It carries no warmth, no comfort, no hint of softness. Only the truth of this place, that the earth is vast, wild, ancient, and still filled with realms that refuse to be tamed. And as you leave the valley behind, one thought lingers. The most desolate place on earth is also one of its most sacred, a reminder that beauty does not require life and that silence in its purest form can speak louder than anything we have ever known.